YouTube, what's happening? It's your boy, Intergalactic Brew. You already know what time it is. Time for some MMA. Time for another spectacular UFC card. This time, we're going international again. Going back to Rio de Janeiro. You know, one of the livest countries in the United States. Um, We're going back to the HSBC Arena. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is the second UFC Rio event that the UFC will host. As you all know, this past year's UFC 134 was nothing short of epic. So hopefully this pay-per-view can follow in that pay-per-view's footsteps, but we'll see. You never know. But the UFC has gone back to I'm not gonna say its original time, but it has gone back to the 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern time slot, as they've done for so many years. I really wish they would have kept it at 9 o'clock, because that would have worked out so much for me. But hey, they're the UFC. They can do what the heck they want to do. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dig into this card. First fight I want to talk about is Edson Barboza taking on Terry Edom. Terry Edom coming off a very, very good win in his previous fight. That was against Edward Falalato at, what was that, UFC 138 a few months back. Choked him out with a guillotine. Awesome performance by Terry Edom. I had picked him to win that fight, by the way. Yeah, he looked really good in his last fight. It seemed like the layoff didn't affect him too bad. You know, the striking was there, but the grappling was even better. And as y'all saw, it paid off dividends for him as he was able to get the submission. As for Edson Barboza, I would say in his last fight against, who was that? Ross Pearson, I believe. Yeah, I believe. Actually, it was at UFC 134 when he fought against Ross Pearson. Yeah. That was a great fight. I believe that was fight of the night, in my opinion, personally. Yeah. Edson Barboza, he looked good for the most part. You know, he was getting a little bit better of the striking against Ross Pearson. You know, he used those lethal kicks and knees and punches, displaying his Muay Thai. So it was a good win for Barboza. Although, you know, Barboza did take some damage in that fight as well, and I think he did get taken down maybe once or twice. I don't really remember that. That pay-per-view seems like, you know, a long time ago. But I know that Barboza, you know, did take some damage in that fight, but for the most part he came out on the winning end. So, you know, good for him. But in this fight with Terry Edom, I think that his takedown defense is going to be a huge factor in this fight, because I think that Terry Edom knows, or at least I think he knows, that Barboza has got him on the striking part just by a tad. I mean, I'm not saying that Terry Edom is a bad striker, because he's not, but you know, I just don't think that his striking can measure up with Barboza's, because, you know, Barboza's coming from that Muay Thai background. You know, he knows how to put all of the strikes together and, you know, make it look fluid inside of the octagon. So I think Terry Edom's going to have to use the grappling, much like he did against Falalato in his last fight, and I think he's going to have to try to submit Edson Barboza. Like I said, Barboza's takedown defense is going to be key. If he can stuff Terry Edom's takedowns and keep the fight standing, I don't see any reason why Barboza can't take this guy out. Um, I would really like to see Barboza end a fight. I really don't think we've seen that from him in his last two fights. The one with Anthony Njokuani, I think he could have ended that fight because I think he was rocking Njokuani, and Njokuani's no joke himself. You know, he's a dangerous striker himself. But Edson Barboza, you know, he was just the better guy that night. Um, Anybody who watched that fight would tell you that. I mean, especially that head kick at the end that sent Njokuani tumbling. You know, that just sealed the deal right there. And the same thing with Ross Pearson. And Ross Pearson, again, another deadly striker. But, you know, Barboza just completely outclassed him. So, in this fight, I would like to see Edson Barboza, you know, finish Terry Edom. But at the same time, I like Terry Edom too. So, I'm kind of torn. But, you know, I believe it'll be a good match. But as far as who I think is going to win, you know what? I'm going to go with Barboza on this. I just think that, you know, his speed and the accuracy that he has, and you know, just the arsenal of strikes that he uses, you know, with the leg kicks and the high kicks, and you know, the little flashy elbows, and you know, all the other techniques that he likes to use. I think that's gonna be a little bit too much for Terry Edom. But then again, I could be wrong. He could end up making a mistake and leaving himself open for a takedown, and Terry Edom could just, you know, pass his guard and possibly submit him. But who knows? I mean, Terry Edom might get lured into standing with Edson Barboza, which will play right into his hands. But you know what? I'm gonna give Barboza the win here. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he's gonna finish Terry Edom. I say it'll probably be somewhere in the second round, maybe. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with Edson Barboza by TKO. But like I said, if Terry Edom can be smart about it and take him down and try to go for submissions and control him, especially from the mount, then I could see him submitting Barboza. But I mean, with that crazy Brazilian audience there, you know, that's gonna really fire Edson Barboza up, and I think that's gonna carry over into the fight. So, but I mean, we'll see. But I'm picking Barboza by TKO. Okay, next fight we have, okay, Eric Silva against Carlo Prater. Now, Eric Silva, this guy is impressive. I mean, I like this dude. This dude, you know, he's cool. You know, he's really cool. You know, he's an action-packed fighter. You know, my type of guy. You know, and he's, you know, has a real easygoing attitude about himself. You know, I like the way that he handles himself inside the octagon. You know, I listened to an interview that he did earlier today on UFC.com. Seems to be a, you know, humble, relaxed, easygoing guy. So, you know, I can deal with guys like that, you know. But yeah, he really impressed me. His previous fight at the first UFC Rio card, where he just completely waylaid whoever that was that he fought. I can't recall the name of the opponent, but I know that he just completely clobbered him from the start of the fight, you know, and it was just awesome. And then, you know, he did a little backflip off the little, I guess, the little pole or the little post on the octagon. That was really cool. That made that victory that much more exciting to see that. But yeah, I'm really impressed with Eric Silva. I mean, I really think this guy is going to be the future at lightweight. I mean, welterweight. I'm sorry. I think he's going to be the future. I really think, you know, if he gets on a really good roll, I mean, you know, I could see him challenging for the welterweight title sometime later this year. I mean, I know that's a bold prediction, but you know, I just like what I see so far from this guy. You know, and I think he could challenge any of the top 5 guys in the division, whether it be um, Koscheck, whether it be Fitch, even you know Carlos Condit, Nick Diaz, even you know George St. Pierre, Thiago Alves. I mean, you know, I think he could seriously hang with these guys. I think he could, but you know, it's just going to take some time and get him some more time in the octagon and stuff like that. But I really think this guy has a bright future. And Carlo Prater, I really don't know too much about him. From what I'm seeing right here, he's a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. He has 16 wins by submission and 2 by knockout. Um, so, so yeah, we already know what the deal is in this fight. You know, he's not going to want to stand up with Eric Silva. He's going to want to look to take him down. But you know what? I think that Eric Silva's going to win this fight. I'm not going to say easily, but you know, it's going to be a dominant performance, I believe, by Eric Silva. You know, no disrespect to Prater, but I mean, you know, Eric Silva trains, you know, with the probably the best MMA team on the planet. You know, even though I can't stand them at the same time, but I will respect them and say, you know, they have molded a lot of champions out of that stable, and of course I'm talking about Black House and Team Nogueira. So yeah, I'm going with Eric Silva here, probably late first round TKO. So yeah, that's that. Let's see. Next fight, Husamar Tokino Palhares going up against Mike Macenzio. This will probably be, for the most part, a technically sound fight on the mat. I don't think you'll see too much stand-up here. I think Macenzio is going to come out straight from the start and look to take Tokino down and test him off of his back, which I think Tokino will probably be able to attack from his back because he's just that good of a black belt. What Macenzio does not need to do is he does not need to leave any part of his Achilles or arms open, because if he does, then Tokino's going to jump right on it, and he might be wearing an arm sling for the rest of his career. So Mike Macenzio needs to be smart on the ground. You know, he needs to transition, you know, into different positions. I don't think he needs to stay in one place. Mainly Tokino's guard, because Palhares has a good guard. So I think if Mike Macenzio is going to submit him, he probably need to get to the half guard or side control, or maybe even try to mount Palhares. So that's basically, you know, how Macenzio will be able to survive. Other than that, Palhares basically he can dictate where this fight goes pretty much, because you know, in the Dan Miller fight, you know, his previous fight that we saw, you know, he displayed some good striking. So you know, he's got some decent striking up under his belt, and of course, you know, he's got the world-class jiu-jitsu skills as well. So he could pretty much dictate where the fight goes. But for the most part, I think he'll probably end up submitting Macenzio. Hopefully it won't be a brutal submission. Hopefully Macenzio will do the right thing and not try to act like a tough guy and just tap out when he can. And like I said, not get his arm put in a sling for the rest of his career. But yeah, I just think that, you know, I just think Tokino's going to be able to just dictate where this fight goes. Now, Macenzio could surprise him and could, you know, take him down and you know, just ground and pound him and try to rough him up a little bit. I mean, you know, Nate Marquardt did have success with that, and Macenzio's a pretty big guy, but Taquino's a lot bigger. But I'm just saying, you know, Nate Marquardt was able to have success with the ground and pound on Paul Harez. So, you know, we'll see, we'll see, we'll see. But for the most part, I think Paul Harez is going to find a way to submit this guy, and I say probably somewhere maybe in the second round. We'll do that. We'll go second round submission. Husamar Paul Harez. You know what? I'm going to do another video right now for the co-main event and the main event of the night. So y'all stay tuned. Stay right where you are, because I'm about to do the video for the main events. So keep it there.